really it's all about trying to capture that content in unique ways. And, obviously we leverage the highlights that are taken across our broadcast on the national and regional aspect, but the content that we're shooting here is really geared towards that younger audience, different angles, different views, and really want to experiment with unique camera angles and access around the ballpark. We also try to really focus on the content that we capture with more like reactionary content as opposed to action content. So really capturing those big moments.
And just a week into the season, the team at MLB is already capturing those massive moments, from the Ohtani moonshots to the Arozarena diving catches. And it was definitely a big moment when Barbara joined our Storyteller live stream. If you missed it, we had 10 incredible storytellers share their stories and the content that they're producing. If you missed it, don't worry, we're going to bring you each interview over the next several weeks. And then at the end of it all, we're breaking into a whole new season of Storyteller. Going to be the same show with a new feel and a new flow. If you're new here, my name is Sky Muller, former sports anchor turned media support guru. I work with all the top dogs in the media space, helping them tell their stories to the world. Joining me, as always, the one, the only Christine Chalk, multi-Emmy award-winning producer turned SVP and a downright media genius. But the star storyteller on the show today, Barbara McHugh, SVP of Marketing for Major League Baseball. In that role, Barbara oversees many things, from digital ad strategies to cross-platform promotion for MLB.tv and the Ballpark app. Barbara, welcome to the Storyteller stage.
First off, thank you. Thank you for having Major League Baseball participate in this storytelling series. I think it's a great name, and excited that we're a part of it. So, as you said, Barbara McHugh with Major League Baseball. I've been really fortunate. I've been part of the baseball family for honestly most of my career, with probably a little short stint of a year and a half at the Sports Museum of America, which unfortunately opened and closed back over a decade ago. But really, I started my career at the New York Mets as an intern and spent 6.5 years there full time, and have been on the league side of things for over a decade now, and really just grateful and fortunate for the experiences, for the great team that I'm a part of, and all my colleagues that I work with across the industry, as well as internally, but of course with all our club colleagues as well.
Oh, go ahead.
Fun fact about Sky, he probably won't share this with everyone. Sky, correct me if I'm wrong, you were a mascot for a minor league baseball team.
I was the on-field MC, so I was just screaming, getting everyone hyped, kind of like I'm doing here today. I'm just the hype man on this whole thing. I don't have the good questions. I just hype you up.
Anyone that knows me well knows my love for mascots, so we've got something in common there.
Nothing better than a mascot at a ballpark. 2020 was crazy. Unfortunately, we couldn't be in the stands at the ballpark with those mascots. But before we dive in, I want to take a quick sneak peek at a video of some of the best stories that you and MLB told all year.
Opening day may be postponed, but unity,
I appreciate your lifelong support,
hope, and community don't have to be.
Welcome back. Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? I see the girls in the club, they're getting wild for me. And all the pretty chicks all wanna smile at me. These rap cats, man, they all got this style for me.
Baseball is back. We always talk about the season is a marathon. Well, not this year, Dan. It's a sprint.
I know they gon' fiend. Everything Mississippi to the Palm Springs. Girls from brunettes down to blonde queens. These young boys don't know what a dawn means.
We had a couple card tables going.
Come on, Jake. Come on. Chain choker, always remain sober. Don't drink liquor and all the game's over. Need a plane? I explained it to my broker. 3 box in the hood, top down, and ain't no.
There's not an American in this country free until every one of us is free.
We're going to keep letting this amazing video roll, Barbara. But while our viewers are watching that, tell us a little bit about your role at Major League Baseball and what you and your team do.
Sure. So as mentioned, I'm the Senior Vice President of Marketing, and I've been in this position for just about 3 years now. And, it's been really exciting. We've been involved in a lot of great initiatives, a lot of great programming, and really our goals are really around fan engagement. And our goals are to really engage that next generation fan, a more diverse fan base, really leveraging, as you're seeing from this video, the great talent that we have in our field with all of our players and our star talent, young, energized players, and really just bring baseball to that next generation of fan. And, as much as we know that folks can watch baseball in a number of different ways, a lot of our more recent endeavors on the marketing side have really been around bringing baseball to these new fans or casual fans wherever they are. So you'll see from this video a lot really focused on emerging platforms and social platforms and whatnot.
And this video has been so great. One of my favorite things that I've seen coming out of the MLB recently is the MLB Originals. And I know you were a big part of that, Barbara. The mic'd up segment with Pete Alonso. There's just a number of different series that gets the fan engaged with the athletes and the talent that you have there. What was the main goal behind the MLB Originals, and how did it all come together?
Sure. So MLB Originals launched back in April of 2020. And, I will say we've had a lot of fun with MLB Originals. We had a great meeting actually even yesterday just to plan out year two coming up with the 21 season. But really, it was exciting, but also unfortunate. I think 2020 for all of us was all about pivoting and continuing to tell those great stories that we want to tell, but really being nimble and flexible. And fortunately, we were able to leverage a good amount of content that we initially shot during the early part of spring training last year, before the season was postponed. And we were able to complement a lot of that great footage that we captured with just being like everybody else, trying to capture what we could do from home. And really, MLB Originals features or focuses player-driven content for everyone. So you'll see a lot of different variety there, but also an in-depth look at some unique baseball traditions and rituals, such as our Quick Questions series. And in addition, you'll see a lot of behind-the-scenes glimpses into players and teammates' lives off the field. So really, it's all about content storytelling that engages, a younger and diverse audience. And MLB Originals is really focused on YouTube. That's where really the home of it lives. But at the same time, we want to take those stories and bring them to a number of different places. But the home of it really has been on our YouTube channel.
I think it's awesome.
Sorry, Christine. In terms of the Pete Alonso creative, Pete was great in terms of just wanting to do a mic'd up series with us. So we're really excited about just showing his personality on the field. And you saw a glimpse of it in this video, but definitely encourage everyone to watch the full series. It's a lot of fun.
I'll echo that. If you haven't seen the Mic'd Up series, you absolutely should go check it out. I think giving that kind of access to the players and their lives has certainly been something that I've loved. What has the response been like from fans, from baseball fans, from those casual fans, like you said, who you're trying to draw in, who maybe aren't as diehard, but this is an avenue in for them?
Yeah, the response has been really, really positive, and we're continuing to build off that momentum. So as a quick snapshot, in 2020, we were able to deliver 10 different MLB Originals covering just shy of 30 different unique episodes. And the viewership part is what was probably one of the more exciting elements that we had, which 74% of our viewership aged 18 to 34. With millions and millions of views when you pull all those different original pieces of content together. So the momentum's been positive, and like I mentioned, we're diving in and going to continue to be in 2021 creative, nimble, and flexible. Make sure that we can do what we can in terms of the health and safety aspects right now, but excited for season 2 for our viewers.
You mentioned you just had a meeting like yesterday. Can you give us any sneak peek into what we can see on MLB Originals in 2021?
Can't give it all away, but I will share that you should expect to see a mix of building upon some of the series that we've already created and hopefully some new different series and different content aspects that we're excited to unveil.
All right, we'll keep our eyes out. We'll keep our eyes out. We get it. A little teaser. I want to chat too about your player-focused marketing initiative. I know this started a few years back and has really picked up momentum, in the last 2 years. You've got over 850 players who are a part of the program. This is something I think is so unique for a lot of guests who are watching who, maybe work in a league where they'd love to do something like this, or a team where they'd love to help leverage their, the players, or even media organizations who are joining that have access to great talent or personalities. Talk a little bit about how you guys have used players to really champion engagement here.
Sure. So I'm gonna talk specifically about our player social program, and because I think that's been a core piece in the evolution of a lot of other opportunities that we've been able to do, and really proud of our team bringing this program to life, and it really, like I said, continues to grow and evolve. So Christina, as you mentioned, we are at about 840 to 850 or so players enrolled in the program right now. That is a 75% increase from where we were at the end of last season. And the program's really been about only for 2 full seasons. And it's interesting because when folks ask me like my earliest memory of this program, I actually think back to the fall of 2018 when we were in Japan. We had a Japan All-Star Series. And our team was really trying to create an easy opportunity to make sure we can deliver content to our players. That was obviously content on the field, but also, they're in a new country, right? They're exploring, they're sightseeing and whatnot. And we wanted to really help facilitate an easy, transition for the players to be able to enjoy their time, again, on and off the field, but also us deliver that content. And from there, we developed this program. We had a partnership with Greenfly. I'm sure many of our folks in the audience are familiar with Greenfly, and we were working with them already to help deliver content to all 30 of our clubs. So the player program really was an extension of on the back end and a technology solution to help us deliver that content to players. And really at the core of it, the program is really around being a service, being a resource for our players. All athletes, their time and their commitment to the game on the field is intense. And we wanted to just try to create a program that helped them make things a bit easier. So we deliver assets to them in all different forms and shapes and sizes, whether that's photos, graphics, original content that we create, motion graphics. It spans quite a bit. And a big part of that is content that we create live on the ground, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, it's a great program to date, and it's really, like I said, continues to evolve. We're really excited to continue to grow the program into the 21 season, and really trying to capitalize on our younger players. So as they're coming up to the big leagues, we're in a good spot and ready to go to help serve them, and also just be great partners with them.
Yeah, Barbara, we'll get into that live content capture in just a minute, because I love that program and how it ties in here with the players and getting them the content. The biggest question I had when researching and looking into the player program, how do you make it authentic, right? Like each person has their own personality, their own brand. When you're shipping all this content out to their fingertips, how do you make it maybe a little different for player A versus player B and things like that?
Yeah, authenticity is certainly key. I mean, as you can imagine, the volume and amount of content that is captured or just corralled and delivered is pretty enormous. But there are elements of content that we deliver that is so unique to the player. So I don't know, for one reason or not, there's 2 examples that I often tend to call out really quickly. One is with Mike Trout. Mike Trout is obviously one of our greatest star players of baseball, and he's so authentic. Everyone knows he loves kids and loves his fans, and he had asked us to just take a photo of him signing autographs. This was back in 2019, and it wasn't just about taking a photo of him, signing the autographs. It was really about trying to get it from his perspective and from his eyes. So really our photographer, our live content creator on the ground had to literally stand next to him and make sure it was really from his eyes, essentially. And that was really authentic to him. Within a couple of hours, that photo was, posted up on his social account, really, again, from his voice, authentic to him. Another example is some graphics that we provide on a very regular basis to Blake Snell. Blake Snell is a pitcher who just got traded to the San Diego Padres, played in the World Series this year, and he calls his starts Bump Day. And on Bump Day, he always puts out an image on his social accounts. And those images are really authentic to him. He's provided feedback to us in terms of what he was looking for. And that's been just an evolution in terms of using, being a partner with him on terms of those graphics and whatnot. So authenticity is absolutely key. And those are, again, just 2 quick examples, but essentially, we know that not every player wants to, tout themselves. Not every player, wants to show certain game action footage or whatnot. Sometimes they want to focus on their teammates or whatnot. So it's really an individual by individual, whatever they'd like to see.
That's awesome. Awesome. My husband has just turned me into a big baseball fan, but I am a California native. So I love the Mike Trout story because I am an Angels fan down here. I know we've got fans joining from all over, but I personally love to hear that one. Like Sky mentioned, diving into the live content capturing. You were one of the first leagues to really move on this idea. You essentially have an army of storytellers around the league who are out there capturing content, the stories of the game, and getting it immediately uploaded to a space where it can be shared. How has this program evolved and helped build the digital footprint?
Yeah, Christine, it's interesting. I was actually reminded by folks on my team pretty recently, actually, that because sometimes we forget how much it has evolved. But we were doing this program, when flip phones were still a thing, and we were capturing, content in very early stages or whatnot. But again, similar to some other programs, this one really has taken off and really evolved over the years. And you're right, we've got content creators. We call them LCCs or VCCs, live content creators or live video creators. And they're on the ground at all 30 ballparks, depending on, if it's one of our if it's the postseason or something like that, All-Star, certainly we have more resources in place and whatnot. But really, it's all about trying to capture that content in unique ways. And, obviously, we leverage the highlights that are taken across our broadcast on the national and regional aspect. But the content that we're shooting here is really geared towards that younger audience, different angles, different views, and really want to experiment with unique camera angles and access around the ballpark. We also try to really focus on the content that we capture with more like reactionary content as opposed to action content. So really capturing those big moments, many of which you saw in the video, those exciting actions, a bat flip, for example, or a big strikeout on the mound. And really trying to use the live content capturing to tell those stories and drive baseball's most important narratives through that visual content that we're capturing. And as you mentioned, sort of the editing part of it, it sort of amazes me often how nimble our team is in terms of making those quick edits that really follow trends and create buzz, but also the distribution fact on how much we're just pushing out there across our MLB accounts. We share a lot of this content with clubs to complement whatever they're capturing and using. And then, of course, through the hundreds of players that we have in the player social program. And just to sort of wrap your head around a little bit, in 2020, we distributed over 530 pieces of photo and video content through this program. And that's just the content that's being captured from this live content team. And about close to 1,500 posts alone from the month of October for the postseason using their content. And what's I think, in terms of trying to continue to grow the program or whatnot, often it's asked okay, so, what is this actually producing? So I think that's probably one of the other fun things to highlight. It's, proof is in the numbers sometimes, and the content that we're capturing through our live content creators has proven to outperform other content on our social channels. So just two quick references in terms of numbers. We see 21% more engagement with this live content capturing that we do with a standard original game highlight. And similarly, we see 16, and that's on Twitter, and then 16% on Instagram.
That is just awesome. It's incredible to hear the numbers behind it, the numbers of just amount of content, which is hard to wrap your head around sometimes, and then how that content plays. I mean, it truly brings everyone into the game or into that authentic feeling of being close to the athletes that they love to follow and build those personal athlete brands, which is really cool. And it brings me into, we've talked a lot about engaging that younger audience. Barbara, you've done such a good job of it since taking over in your current role. It's interesting because I think older audience a little bit on the linear side of it, right? Your digital audience, your digital footprint. I've read that between 13 to 34, it's like 75% of your digital audience is in that age range. How do you balance that? How do you balance to cater to maybe a little older audience and then also the younger audience as well?
Sure. It's a great question. And as you can imagine, often comes up, and everything is a balancing act, of course. In fact, if you think about it, all TV viewing skews older. So I don't think we're, extremely unique in that regard. All sports, scripted shows, et cetera, pretty much everything except children sort of TV tends to skew on the older side. But we're fortunate, we have an extremely broad audience when you talk about the age of our fans, which is certainly not a bad thing. And we work closely with our local broadcast partners as well as our national broadcast partners to really try new and different approaches throughout the season that will attract those younger audiences. I think our mic'd up content efforts this year is a good example of that. But we also work within our guidelines and those partnerships and relationships to make sure that the best content is being able to be distributed digitally. So, making those highlights available, as we said, to our players, to our clubs. And also we've created a new product that we launched back in September called the MLB Film Room, powered by Google Cloud, which really gives fans the opportunity to package together their favorite highlights and put them out on their own social platforms. So in general, I would say, we've got a lot of our efforts, like I mentioned, are really geared towards that younger audience right now. But at the end of the day, it's everyone consumes content differently, and we're just trying to do our part to make sure that we're delivering our game to fans however they want it and wherever they want it.
We ask all of the storytellers who join Storyteller the same question, and that's in 3 words. The best stories are blank, blank, and blank.
Well, it's a great question. I think the 3 words that come to my mind right away are authentic, inspirational, whatnot, and relevant. I think just you have to be relevant.
How about that? Barbara McHugh, a bona fide Grand Slam storyteller. So thankful to have Barbara join us on Storyteller, and be sure to keep up with everything that her and the team at MLB are producing, because their season is just getting started and it is sure to be filled with many amazing stories. Also, make sure to catch us next week for quotes like this.
One really fun thing is we get to throw stuff at the walls and see what sticks. So one of the things that we tried was, like you said, knowing that Dana has quite the Rolodex, doing Instagram lives, very casual at-home conversations between Dana and his celebrity friends or people who have been to events, and kind of seeing what projects they're up to and if they have a prediction or if they're rooting for a certain athlete.
Fresh out of Fight Island, that's right, we welcome Eric Yee, social media manager for UFC, to the Storyteller stage. We'll catch you next week.